Welcome to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Buy low, sell high, Fantasy Jeopardy, Thursday night preview, and we're grading your trade. Yeah, you're really good at Fantasy Jeopardy, right, Heath?
No, I always like playing games. Games are fun.
Games are fun. Yeah. And we're going to redraft the first round in PPR. We're going to do a top 12.
No, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Oh, come on.
Would you rather have a root canal?
No.
Okay, then it's fun.
Have you had a root canal?
Oh, I've had a root canal.
I've never had a root canal. Probably
I've had root canals. I've had gum surgery. I've had my tonsils taken out. I've had my wisdom teeth taken out. What a great way to start the show. Let's just go over my entire,
I'll share
history of my mouth.
Like, and Dave's not helping. People always ask, like, what's your fear or what's your irrational fear? And the dentist is mine.
Really?
Yeah, I've overcome that fear.
Do you go to the dentist, Heath?
I've been to the dentist.
When was the last time?
I'm not sure, but I've been to the dentist.
Oh, no.
I have very good habits.
Okay, do you floss every night?
Yes.
Good.
Usually more than once a day. I usually floss after every meal.
Wow. Okay, then
You're
you
like
don't.
an all-star
Take it from me.
flosser.
You definitely don't need to go to the dentist. You're totally fine. All right, let's do some buy low, sell high. Heath, by the way, is probably just super excited today. Go Royals! Good for you.
Yes,
that was a really. I forgot how stressful postseason baseball is.
Yeah, it's been every 20 years for me.
Yeah, I know, especially a 1-0 game. All right, let's buy low. Let's buy low, Dave. Who we buying low on?
I think Josh Jacobs is a good buy low. Averaging 4.6 yards per carry on the season. I think he's the better running back in Green Bay. I know that on Sunday's show, I was nervous because he was basically splitting carries with Emmanuel Wilson, but game script got out of hand. And he still played more than Emmanuel Wilson. And I think there will be games where Green Bay will be able to run the ball effectively, and Josh Jacobs will be the one that handles the majority of that. He obviously hasn't scored this season. That's why his fantasy points haven't been that good. And the schedule coming up looks awfully good for Jacobs. So I've tried to get him in a couple of the leagues where I don't already have him, but I do think that he's somebody that fantasy managers should try and pry away from angry, frustrated people who took Josh Jacobs in that 2-3 range on draft day.
And I would just say in general, the schedule looks great for the Packers. This is a team that they should be pretty good for fantasy. They should score some points. In the 2 games that Jordan Love's played, they've been pretty good for fantasy. And they've got, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Texans, which isn't great, the Jaguars, the Lions coming up before their bye. So I can't call Jordan Love a buy low by any means. If you want to call him a buy high or not call him anything, that's fine. But I didn't think good times hopefully are ahead for the Green Bay Packers. So Dave leads with Josh Jacobs. And Heath, how about you?
I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. It's been a tough start to the season. I think he's currently QB 12 or QB 13, but he's had to play without A.J. Brown for a couple of games, without A.J. Brown and Davante Smith for another game. And you want to talk about a fantastic schedule. He still gets to play the Giants, the Commanders twice, the Bengals, the Rams, the Panthers. It's like he's going to have so many 30-point fantasy games the rest of the season. Go by, and he's going into his bye week. The person who has him on his team probably hasn't won very many games. Help that guy win this week. Go get Jalen Hurts.
I tried trading Lamar Jackson and like a bench player for Jalen Hurts and Zach Moss, thinking, okay, maybe this guy's going to buy into Lamar Jackson. He'll say Jalen Hurts on a buy, get him off my team. Didn't work. He rejected the trade offer, but I might try again with a different player to go with each guy. I wouldn't do it straight up. I'd rather have Jackson.
Yeah.
But boy, like I'm with Heath all the way on this one.
I don't really want to trade Lamar Jackson away. I think he might. Things are going so well for him. I mean, how is it that they add Derrick Henry and he's averaging 70 yards rushing per game still?
Yeah.
Because he's throwing 15. Yeah. No, he's amazing. But even in the first 2 games, like week 1, he threw a lot and he rushed for 120 yards or whatever. Jackson is playing at such a high level, and he was playing at such a high level last year too. And just in terms of air yards still being really high, but completion percentage being better, and just showing obviously he's a better player. He's getting more yak per completion now than he has in the past, which is nice.
I was looking, or somebody had tweeted out the MVP odds. And I don't know if you've seen these or not, Adam.
Oh, but he's the MVP.
Holmes, I think, is plus 230, has by far the best odds to win the MVP.
Holmes, you said?
Yes.
Wow.
Josh Allen is second at plus 400. And Lamar Jackson is third at plus 800. This is after the Ravens and Bills game.
No, he's the MVP. I'd vote for him today. But they're 2-2, you know, so
right.
It hurt, and you got Mahomes 4-0, Allen 3-1. Okay, so we got Josh Jacobs, we got Jalen Hurts. Now I'm just gonna say, Garrett Wilson. We got to talk about the Davante Adams stuff, right? So let's talk about that right now and what it means for Davante Adams.
I love how you say Garrett Wilson's name and you go, we've got to talk about Davante Adams.
Obviously, if he's going to get traded, you got to put the Jets on the list, right? You got to at least put him on the list. But I don't even think Garrett Wilson's schedule is all that great. It gets better, but it's not all that great going forward. And I hate what he said yesterday about really the lack of creativity on the offense, saying his route tree isn't what it even was last year. That they look, maybe it's not the worst thing. But basically, what he said was they keep things very simple and they just have to go out and execute. But it also seemed like he was lamenting that he sees other teams doing creative things offensively and the Jets are not doing it. So
that didn't seem like it's exactly what he was doing. He even referenced other teams doing more creative things.
No, he said that, but I don't know that he was disappointed in it. It seemed like he was disappointed in that being the case.
It'd be a strange conversation to have if he was happy with the way things were going.
Okay, fair. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yes, it's okay. So what kind of what round would you draft Garrett Wilson in right now if you're drafting again?
4?
I can tell you where he landed on the trade chart this week, and then we'll have 5? An exact idea.
Oh, wow. 4 or 5. That's low.
Yeah, but that's going to be right about the range. He's 41st overall without considering quarterbacks. So he would probably be close to the 4 or 5 turn. Yeah. Maybe a little before then. Let's call it 44th.
And where's Davante Adams?
He's slightly lower as of now.
So the update here is Adams could get traded. There's a report that he requested a trade, that they're now looking to trade. They're now fielding offers. So do you want him to get traded?
Hell yeah.
I'm going to express a little bit more caution, just because veteran wide receivers changing teams midseason has not worked out very often. And there is a chance that he goes to a team where there's just not a huge target share available.
How many can you think of? Because Amari Cooper was good for Dallas. Who are some wide receivers that have changed teams midseason? Like Claypool, bums like that. There haven't really been that many.
Not a lot of future Hall of Famers, probably. Randy Moss a couple of times?
When Randy went to Minnesota from Tennessee, or was it the other way around? It was Minnesota to Tennessee. I don't remember him being particularly great.
I don't remember a lot of examples of this. I'm honest.
You know why? Because there aren't a lot of midseason trades involving. There aren't a lot of midseason trades. The league is trying to change that. They keep pushing the trade deadline back. This year, it's before week 10, I believe. It's on November 5th. So there's definitely going to be some more action as teams start to fall out of contention. And I think any team that was in on Brandon Aiyuk that's competitive after 4 weeks is going to be in on Davante Adams. How fun would it be if he went to Washington? How interesting would it be if he went to Pittsburgh? And that might be one of the places that Heath was talking about. Washington might be one of the places that Heath was talking about. But the Jets make a ton of sense, and I'm sure Aaron Rodgers would love to be back with his old buddy there. And that would make for a very interesting offense. It would certainly make them difficult to defend.
And I hadn't even thought about Pittsburgh. How awful would that be?
That might be the worst one. It really might be that could kill Pickens. It could turn George Pickens into nothing because Adams is going to command targets there. Or it could be that they just run the ball a lot. There's matchups
kill both of them.
They'll be easy. It could kill both. They could really cannibalize both their numbers. So that could be one of them.
Where's Adams on the trade chart? Let's start with that.
He's behind Wilson, and some of it has to do with the fact that he might not be playing in the next week or two. So,
Right.
and there's no guarantee that he even does get traded because, like I said, players just don't get traded mid-season very often. He's actually one spot behind Garrett Wilson and one spot ahead of Brandon Aiyuk. Talking about low 20s among wide receivers.
Okay.
Lower
just
for me.
Trey Tucker's 22% roster. Jacoby Myers, I'll check his roster percentage, but it's just something to keep
Pretty
in mind.
high.
It was 75-ish%. Now it's 77% for Jacoby Myers. So something to keep in mind going forward for the Raiders. All right. Before we go to break, do you guys want to give me another buy low or so?
Buy low or so?
Or another one or so in the buy low?
How risky do you want to get with your buy lows, Adam?
Go ahead.
I think Anthony Richardson's a buy low.
Okay, Anthony Richardson.
Okay, and as I don't know if I want to trade for him to be my lone quarterback the rest of the way, but if you're unhappy with your QB situation, we still know what his upside is. I thought he looked okay on 4 dropbacks against the Steelers in week number 4. Maybe there's a chance for him to make some progress and to bounce back from that horrible start he had.
And I'll say, I think we said him last week, but sometimes these guys stay on our buy low list for 3 or 4 weeks before they turn into league winners. I'll say Bijan Robinson still, and it might be even a little bit easier after a bad game. And now he's got the injury designation next to his name with a hamstring injury. I still think Bijan's going to be a top 5 running back the rest of the season.
And I don't think people are going to let go of Bijan as at low value. They're still going to expect first round value for him.
Well, I mean, they're definitely going to take Kamara, Barkley, Henry, Kyron. Right?
All running backs I'd rather have than Bijan anyway.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, we're up to 5 running backs now. There weren't 5 running backs drafted in the first round.
Right, but do you think that Bijan can leapfrog them?
Yes.
Do you think Bijan can finish the year as a top 3 fantasy running back?
I would rest of season. Yes, I would still take Bijan over the veterans that I said I would sell high last week.
Okay.
Yeah. I brought up Ken Walker for Bijan. I don't know where people are on that. I really want to talk about Seattle, which we'll do when we talk about the sell highs. I'm not going to say they are. He is a sell high, but I got some interesting stuff because I got a lot of pushback on it when I was talking. I think it was on yesterday's show about how Monday night was a little discouraging for Ken Walker, and people thought I was crazy. And I'll just explain where I'm coming from on that because I do have some things to back it up. But then again, there's a lot to love about Seattle. And I'll just tell you right now, they were last in plays last year. They're 3rd in plays this year. And that right there is just a huge boost to everyone on the team. But I think they're one of the most fascinating teams right now. So I look forward to talking about them. I'm sorry, any last 30 seconds on another buy low? Because we've given you Josh Jacobs, Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson, Bijan Robinson. You don't have to have any others, but if you do, now's the time.
I'll give you a list. Kyler Murray, Brandon Aiyuk is still a buy low. I think T. Higgins is a buy low. I'm seeing Christian Watson dropped in leagues. I would stash him if you see him out there. See if you can get him thrown in on a deal. And then Tyreek Hill. So that last little throwaway comment. Why not, man? It sounds like Tua's got a chance to come back.
Coming back. Yeah,
I definitely think Tua's coming back. I just think you might get Tyreek Hill for 1 month, and then it gets cold.
I'm not too worried about that. I mean, we could look into that. I feel like he was fine last year, no?
Well, not in the game against the Chiefs where it was record-setting cold.
Yeah,
at Lambeau in a night game, November 28th.
That might not be that bad. November 28th
in Green Bay, Wisconsin at night.
Adam's going to tailgate in Bermuda shorts.
And then a home game, then at Houston, then San Francisco, and then week 17's at Cleveland. All right, look, that's a valid point.
It's a terrible playoff schedule.
It is. But you're buying low on Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, see, someone's telling me I'm crazy for being concerned about. Yeah, you're clueless on Walker if you have concerns. All right, look, it's not easy to go out and make the case against someone who just scored 3 touchdowns, but I plan on doing it. We talked about these buy lows. We haven't really talked about who we'd give up for them. So, who would you give up for Brandon Aiyuk? Would you give up Brian Thomas Jr.? Is that an easy call for Brandon Aiyuk?
If you can make that happen, definitely.
I'm nervous about Aiyuk. I know he's going to have.
Excited about Thomas.
Me too.
Like he's doing the first 4 weeks what I was hoping he would do the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Would you give up Zay Flowers?
For Aiyuk, yeah, I think I would.
How about this? We don't know when Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp are going to come back. Would you give up a chance on one of those receivers for Brandon Aiyuk? And remember, you're not getting Aiyuk in all of his crappy games so far. You're getting Aiyuk from this point forward, which, I mean, just basic positive regression you'd think would be good for Brandon Aiyuk, but he's still playing a lot. He's still running a ton of routes. Eventually, he's going to have some big games.
Who is it? Is it Aiyuk? I remember there's at least one player, maybe two on the 49ers that has just destroyed the Cardinals. Is it Aiyuk that has the great history against them?
Not sure.
I can double check. Why not?
I got it. I
don't think I would give up maybe Puka because he seems. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd give those guys up. Those guys feel like league winners. Look, if I were, 1-3, maybe. But I just don't think Aiyuk is going to be a league winner this year. Do you?
I think he absolutely has the potential to be.
Without an injury to Debo or Kittle?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were drafting him as such. It's been a weird start to the year. It's let me see. I think I've got it right.
Like he was
here.
I don't remember where we were even drafting him. Because
he was round 3 pick, but I think no, by the end of it, he was like around 4, maybe 5 pick because of the holdout. But in the heart of the draft season, I think he was a round 3 pick. Some people were taking around 2.
Oh, here's a good question. Jalapeno ham and cheese croissant or Aiyuk?
Oh God, Aiyuk. Jalapeno ruins everything.
Oh no, jalapeno is fantastic.
What kind of cheese?
Aiyuk does not have great history against Arizona.
15 targets in his last 2 games, and he's averaging 8.3 PPR points.
Okay, guys, I
don't think it's sticking, man. I think he can break out of that.
Doesn't seem like we are. Someone asked, would you trade London for Aiyuk?
It's way closer in non-PPR, but no, probably not.
I'm not super excited about either one. Either direction, not either one. I think they're about the same guy.
Would you trade Zach Moss for T. Higgins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Never take food recommendations from Adam unless you're 5 years old and scared of flavors. Fair. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, we're gonna take a break. Long overdue for a break. We'll come back and give you some sell highs. Okay, real quick programming announcement. CBS Sports Network. We're on today at noon Eastern and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. On youtube.com/fantasy football today, you can see all of our content basically, but Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We are live, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Again, I don't know if that is confirmed. Schaefer, you can give me a thumbs up. It's not confirmed. Okay, so it's possible. I'm just we're going to be on from 9 to 10. Usually we're 11:30 to 1. This week we're either going to be 9 to 10 and noon to 1, or we'll just be 11:30 to 1. But we obviously have the London game this week, so we might give you the lineup advice in the morning, 9 to 10. But we'll let you know. We'll keep you posted.
But if not, you'll just go live on Twitter from 9 to 1 and answer questions, right?
Yeah, exactly. 9 to 1. Oh wow, the whole time. Wow.
Why wouldn't we start at 11:30?
What's that?
Either whether we're on from 9 to 10 or not, why wouldn't we start at 11:30?
Because it's just not necessary. So
it is. I disagree. If need be, I will be there.
Stop it.
I will be there at 11:30.
Fine. You have fun. Sell high. Heath, who do you want to sell high on?
Well, like I said it earlier, but I'll just say it again. I'm still selling high on the old running backs. Basically 29 or older and currently a top 20 running back, I would entertain selling high. It's just got to be very high. I mean, 5 of the top 18 running backs fit that category. I think maybe 3 of them hold out, but 2 to 3 of them will stay in that category. So I would be willing to entertain offers on Kamara, on Henry, on Aaron Jones, on James Conner. I guess it was 4.
The Saquon doesn't qualify. He's not old enough.
I wonder who has production that you feel like is sell high. if you remove the age concerns, and you would still say, yeah, this guy's doing too well right now.
You mean like fluky?
Yeah, because I would think I love Kamara, but the fact that Taysom Hill has missed time has definitely helped Kamara. And we saw it. Taysom Hill had 2 rushing touchdowns on Sunday, and then Kamara only got his when Taysom Hill left. And I expect a split near the goal line going forward. So even if Kamara stays healthy, he's RB 1 or 2 right now.
One.
Yeah, he's 1. He might be. I think he's still like 5 if he stays healthy in full PPR. But if you're looking at Kamara in a half PPR league, I mean, I think even just from a production standpoint, if you're not concerned about age, I think there's sell super high. Basically, name your price, right? But that's who I would go with. But what about you, Heath? Like, do any of those old running backs, you look at them and go, yeah, I just don't buy the production?
I would say that probably. Well, it's not. No, I don't buy that Aaron Jones and James Conner are going to stay healthy all year. And you've got a month of good health already. So I would say that doesn't quite fit. And somebody said in the chat, why are we still doing this age thing? I get it. Like 4 weeks, especially like trends are set, efficiency and volume is pretty much set. But we were talking about historical trends that have lasted for years, maybe decades. And it's been 4 weeks. So I'm just not going to throw all of that out because of 4 games.
So let's say I'm a fantasy manager that is saying what the chatter is saying. This is hogwash. Who cares how old these guys are? They're awesome. I'm winning because of them. Why would I trade them now? Number one, you're overlooking what Heath said, which is sell very high. You're asking for a king's ransom for them. Number two, if you decide to keep them, what can you do to make yourself feel better about the build of your team, knowing that these guys are older running backs? I think it's pretty easy in the case of Aaron Jones. You see Ty Chandler. We've got a small sample size of what he can do when he gets an opportunity. We even had a teeny tiny sample size this year. I'd want to have Chandler with Aaron Jones. When I look at James Conner and Alvin Kamara, is there a 1-to-1 replacement there? I don't think so. That makes me a little bit nervous about those guys. Does it make me want to trade them more? Maybe a little bit, but I kind of like, this is where I'm going to talk out of the other side of my mouth, because I agree with the chatter. Why would I want to try to move these guys unless I just get something that's like obviously an overpay in return? And I can ask for that. I just don't know if anybody's going to give it to me, because every single fantasy manager is going to say, well, but your guy's old and there's no way he's going to keep this up. Here's where I'm going to come out and talking. I think all these guys, as long as they stay healthy, can keep it up. I don't think that there's a fluky one in the bunch.
Maybe Connor, just because he has 1 catch in 3 straight games. Kyler Murray has one of the lowest running back target rates. So, if he doesn't score a touchdown, then, he scored a touchdown in 3 or 4 games. And then in 1 game, he had just had a terrible game. He had 10 touches. But no, I kind of feel like I don't care about the age. I'm sorry. Like, I see young running backs. No, yeah, I see young running backs get hurt all the time too. And to say, like, historically we don't have, I don't know that we really have had a lot of running backs, even be fantasy relevant at this age. I don't know that we have a lot of failures because we haven't had that many examples. But we had Mostert last year be really good. I mean, even Derrick Henry making it through a full season last year at his age with his workload. Guys are better at sports now at older ages. So,
right. But you do know, like, at some point it is going to happen.
Right. The sky is falling. So when does the sky fall? Could be week 5, could be week 4 of next year. You just don't know. So again, if you're going to keep these guys, try and safeguard it. It's almost the same advice that we gave for McCaffrey way back in August when we learned that he hurt himself in camp. Get the backup if you like the backup, or just get good depth at running back. And you might already have it. If you've got James Conner and you're starting him, and you've got Zach Moss or Chase Brown, I don't know why I'm naming Bengals running backs, but you get my point. Somebody who's decent on your bench, then you're kind of protecting yourself in case of the old guys getting old.
All right, who are you selling high on, Dave?
Most of the guys on my sell high list are the same as last week. Jones is on there. Zach Moss is on there. That's a new name. He just scored a touchdown last week. It was kind of on a flukish play. And I think Chase Brown eventually will take over. So going back to that trade that I offered where I would be getting Moss, I'm just decimated for skill position players. So that's part of the reason why I did make that trade. Drake London, if you're nervous about how he looked in week 1, I know that he has 28 targets in his last 3 games, but he's proven to be pretty touchdown dependent. And just some metrics, 10.1 yards per catch. His ADOT's 8.3. He has 1 explosive play this season. I wonder if you could get somebody to bite on him and maybe overpay for him. And then Stefon Diggs.
Drake London.
What's up?
You said Drake London?
Yes, that was Drake London. And then Stefon Diggs is another one. Some of his stat lines this year include a rushing touchdown. That was last week. First time he's ever run for a touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns back in week 1. I think he has 1 game this year with double-digit targets, certainly with double-digit catches. His receiving average is pretty low, and he still carries brand name value. Everybody in your league knows who Stefon Diggs is. And when Joe Mixon comes back, I wonder if that's going to hurt him. Plus, Nico Collins is becoming an alpha. So he is. I think you could get something better than expected for Stefon Diggs right now.
And I would buy, if you could. I mean, I just picked up Tank Dell on waivers, but I would buy super low on Tank Dell. I don't know if people even want him anymore. I still think in bye weeks, when you're like, crap, I have to start Tank Dell, he could have a 25-point game. Now, obviously, I've lowered my expectations for Tank Dell quite a bit, but I'm saying, like, if nobody wants him, that just goes with Stefon Diggs, as the sell high, which we also had Jacob say that. What would you try to get for Drake London? Would you want to get, who would you rather have, Drake London or Travis Etienne?
Etienne's going to be higher in the trade chart, I believe.
Because the one thing about London is I think he's 9th in target share.
Oh, he gets a lot of targets. They're just not great. Yeah, Etienne's just ahead of Drake London. Do you think you can get Jordan Mason? Probably not. The teams that have Jordan Mason, unless they're loaded at running back, probably would not do that. Brian Robinson Jr. might not even be enough. Let's go a little higher. What if you go after one of those older running backs that Heath was talking about? James Conner, for example.
For London?
Yeah. Full PPR, obviously. You can't do it in non-PPR.
So the Falcons I want to talk about the Falcons and the Seahawks here. The Falcons are interesting to me, right? Because I've been thinking about this trade a lot. Should I offer Ken Walker for Bijan Robinson? I don't love trading for players who are on the injury report. If he's active tomorrow and everything seems fine, then I might make the deal. I might make the offer. I have no idea if the Bijan manager would even accept it. But the Seahawks are scoring 10 more points per game than the Falcons. The Falcons are one of the lowest scoring teams in football, I think. They've played Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and New Orleans. It's not exactly an easy schedule, but they suck right now offensively. And their offensive line will hopefully get healthier. They got 2 starters out. But yeah, I mean, that's what concerns me about Atlanta is like Cousins has -1 rushing yards this year. He can't move.
Yeah, that's not indicative of anything.
No, usually he's a guy who can use his legs a little bit and make something happen. He can't move. They're not getting explosive plays at all. You just outlined it with Drake London. If they do get it's
true.
Mooney. So
well, right. That's not right. They're not getting explosive plays doesn't have to do with the team as much as it does. Or what am I trying to say here? London doesn't get a lot of explosive plays. Mooney's the one who can make some explosive plays. Bijan can make some explosive plays too. They can come on runs, not just catches. He also had a touchdown called back last week.
Yeah.
And when I went back and watched the game, I thought the offensive line did pretty well, actually, at protecting Kirk Cousins. There were times where he got hit, obviously, but like when you lose 2/5 of your starting offensive line, you think calamity is about to ensue, and it didn't happen.
I'm just saying, I don't know that I want to necessarily be getting more shares of the Falcons offense and giving up pieces of a good offense to get it. Like, I would trade Aaron Jones for Bijan Robinson. But at this
point, of course, everybody would.
I know, but if he stays healthy, like the Packers offense to me is so much better than the Falcons offense. I would do that trade. But Walker for Bijan, like
Aaron Jones is on the Vikings. Just
right.
I'm sorry, but the Vikings offense is still to me so much better.
Sure.
And the Falcons have 10 big plays this year. That's 25th in the NFL. My whole point is I'm worried about the Falcons. Now,
so you did this last year. You gave an early to mid-season whammy on Travis Etienne, and it worked out. ETN was not great down the stretch last year.
Oh, you talking about Ken Walker?
No, are you doing?
No,
I'm not sure who you're doing that for, because you say you want Bijan Robinson and that you want to turn Ken Walker into Bijan Robinson, but then you just laid out how bad the Falcons offense is.
I'm not sure I do. I mean, I'm saying, like, I don't know that I want to buy into anyone on the Falcons, but Bijan, 4 or more catches in 3 of 4 games. That's huge. So in full PPR, I think that's big. Here's what I don't love about Ken Walker. In week 1, through the first 3 quarters, he played 6 snaps on third down. Zach Charbonnet played 1. He had 20 touches. Charbonnet had 4, I think. It was the Ken Walker show. Now It is back to being the 2023 split. And Walker in week 4, and this could change. Maybe it's just because he was healthy, but I don't really think it will. In week 4, Charbonnet got that third down rollback. Charbonnet was in a lot during the 2-minute drill, during the 4-minute drill. And yes, he did catch 4 passes, but Geno Smith threw over 50 passes. Geno Smith is not throwing to his running backs much. He's like got the 4th lowest running back target rate on first and second down. And I'm just saying, if you're looking at Ken Walker as a 2-down running back, just go back to where he was in the first 7 games of 2023. He was one of the best players in fantasy. I bet we were taking him in the first round if we had done let's do a first round draft right now. He finished as like RB 17. So it's just, if they get game scripted some games, if he doesn't score a touchdown, that's all I'm saying about Ken Walker, is that you want him to have that third down role that he had in week 1. He didn't have it in week 4. It's on my radar as something to maybe think about selling super high on him for a first round value.
Heath, do you want to react, or can I go?
No, you guys are doing great.
Okay, thanks. I don't know how great we're doing, but I don't know if I'm ready to say that what happened in week 4 is definitely what's going to happen moving forward. Remember, it was Walker's first game back, and so maybe they didn't want to put too much on his plate. He ended up doing quite a bit, obviously, and he looked good doing it. So I think the door's open for them to revert back to what it was like in week 1, where Walker is dominating. And I also think that what we saw from the Seahawks defense isn't indicative of what that defense is. I think their defense, once they get healthy, will be very good, and that'll help Ken Walker have some favorable game scripts where he can just get 20 carries, 22 carries, and come up with triple-digit yardage and a touchdown each week.
Yeah. All right. Well, obviously he's off to a great start. I just wanted to point out a change in his role. And okay.
Honestly, if anything, I think you kind of sold me on Bijan maybe being a little like, maybe I haven't properly placed on the trade chart after all. I was nervous putting it out there. I think he's 9th among running backs on the trade chart, but I kind of think that's what he deserves right now.
If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can do that. We can forget about all this Bijan, Ken Walker stuff and just go to BetMGM and use the bonus code FANTASY, and you're going to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app, sign up using the bonus code FANTASY. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FANTASY when you sign up. All right, we're way behind here, so let's rip through the news and notes. Bijan was limited. Trey Palmer and Jalen McMillan missed practice. Mike Evans was limited. We're going to preview that game in a moment. Garrett Wilson, I talked about him and what he said about his route tree. I talked about Davante Adams. Buffalo defensive end Von Miller suspended 4 games. He's a rotational guy. I think he has 3 sacks in 4 games, though.
He's looked great, but he's a passing downs. He's going after the quarterback. That's it.
What else we got here? Tyler Huntley's going to start for the Dolphins. Odell Beckham, who's currently on PUP, is going to start practicing for the Dolphins. They're going to be without Jalen Phillips, most likely this week. Hopefully not too long-term. Best edge rusher. Dallas is going to be without DeMarcus Lawrence this week against Pittsburgh, and he's on IR. And Micah Parsons is unlikely to play. Rashee Rice, all we know right now is that he's going to miss week 5. It's going to be a long-term injury.
It's going to be extensive, right?
Austin Eckler seems optimistic about playing this week against the Browns. And Saad Youssef of The Athletic, he says that the Cowboys are obviously starting to drift away from the running back by committee, but also it might be time for Dalvin Cook to get a look. And we hope not. Dave, before I get to the fantasy cops, where's Christian McCaffrey on your trade chart?
Christian McCaffrey is RB 17 on the trade chart with the idea that he'll be back in November.
All right, I'm going to save fantasy cops, and Redrafting Round 1 and Fantasy Feud for after our Thursday night preview, which, guys, I think we should do quickly because we got so much fun stuff to get to. So let's take a break and knock out Tampa Bay at Atlanta after this. All right, we are back, and let's go to the Falcons. Dave, it's Thursday night football.
No. You
Wait,
said go fast. Let's go fast.
Who does the not? Okay, fair enough. Tampa Bay's at Atlanta. Let's take a look at these pass defenses. The Falcons, they are last in the NFL with 4 sacks, but they've had a pretty good pass defense. 6 fewest yards per attempt, only 3 touchdown passes in 4 games. The Buccaneers, they've allowed 1 touchdown pass in 4 games. It was to Jalen Hurts. Heath, let's talk about Baker Mayfield. I think he's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. He's number 1 in 6-point, number 3 in 4-point. Start or sit Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to sit the guy who is the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. So he's a top 6 quarterback for me. I would start Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, and CJ Stroud over Baker Mayfield, but that is it. Other than that, I'm starting Baker Mayfield with confidence.
Does it bug you that Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback to face the Falcons and get more than 19 fantasy points, and he had 85 rush yards and a touchdown, rushing touchdown?
Not really. With the way this Buccaneers offense is going right now, I'm not going to sit him because of a matchup against I think the Falcons defense is good, but they're not like sit the best quarterback in fantasy so far this season good.
Do you have him over Dak or behind Dak?
I have him over all the quarterbacks that I didn't mention. So that includes Dak,
Purdy. So those will be 2 guys that we disagree.
Burrow. So you going him Mayfield?
No, I am.
I'm going Baker over Burrow, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Which Tampa Bay running back do you prefer?
What's the format?
Half PPR.
It's probably more responsible to say Rachaad White.
I'm still going Rachaad White in all formats. I think if it'd be easier to make the argument that it's definitely Bucky in non or in half if White had another bad week rushing the football, but he had a couple of decent runs in that game. I think they keep it pretty close to 50-50 when it comes to rush attempts, which probably means that Bucky has 10 to 15 more rushing yards, but it's probably 75-25 when it comes to targets, and those are worth a lot more fantasy points than rush attempts are.
I do think I would chance it with Bucky in non-PPR over Rachaad White. And I'm actually encouraged that they split carries inside, they split snaps inside the 5 evenly, and they let Bucky work at the goal line after he nearly scored on a play last week from the 3. So I'm encouraged by that. And I think it's just a matter of time before Bucky has a lock on the running downs and Rachaad White's playing on 3rd downs, long 2nd downs, etc.
Okay. The Falcons have been, pretty good against the run. 9th best against running backs, about 4 yards per carry to running backs.
I think they have allowed the 2nd or 3rd most targets to running backs.
Well, and you play Kamara, right? He had 7 catches. So yeah, that is interesting. Barkley had 4 catches. Okay. So would you start Rachaad White or DeAndre Swift against the Panthers?
Swift.
I got to double check my rankings. Give me a minute. Play a song. See how fast we're going?
I'm basically just like DeAndre Swift had a really good game, and now he's facing the Panthers, so I'm starting DeAndre Swift.
I think that's good common sense, but let's add to it the fact that he had 7 catches and that Chicago got him involved in the passing game. That was a change. That's a positive for Swift. I'm taking Swift. Huh?
Yeah. 7 catches on 23 pass attempts for Swift.
Yeah. And some of them were not by design, but most of them were.
All right,
I'm taking Swift over the Bucs running backs.
Okay, Tampa Bay wide receivers, start them both. They are both top 12 wide receivers. It should be a good game for them. And would you start them over Drake London?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you like Cade Otton in this game? I think this is the first time in his career that he's had more than 7 targets in 2 straight games. He's had 8 and 9 targets in his last 2 games.
I wouldn't say that I like him, but liking someone is not a requirement for being a top 12 tight end. He is currently a top 12 tight end and my favorite tight end in this game.
Yeah, the Falcons allow. Oh, I'm sorry, Heath. I thought you were done. The Falcons allow a 78% catch rate to tight ends. They play a lot of zone coverage. And remember, this is a Baker Mayfield tendency earlier in his career and definitely in college, was throwing to his tight end. And maybe they're kind of unearthing that now, especially with McMillan not on the field.
All right. So Cade Otton is kind of a low-end starter, and he's ahead of Pitts for Heath. Dave, is he ahead of Pitts for you?
He should be.
I think you have to start him over Taysom Hill because we don't know if Taysom Hill is going to play.
Right. Yeah, Otton's over Pitts for me.
How about Pat Freiermuth against the Cowboys or Cade Otton?
Freiermuth.
All right, Kirk
Freiermuth,
Cousins.
Otton, Pitts.
Kirk Cousins is a sit this week.
Kirk Cousins is a sit until further notice, Adam.
Yeah, he's a sit, but he ranks about as high as he has all year. I'd start him over some guys that you may have drafted to play. He's around 16.
Who do you like better, Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier if Bijan Robinson doesn't play?
Probably the same. They're both top 12 running backs.
Yep.
Jordan Mason over Bijan?
Yes.
Yes.
James Conner against San Francisco over or Bijan?
Bijan.
Josh Jacobs at the Rams or Bijan?
Bijan.
I've got Bijan over Jacobs, Bijan over Conner.
All right. Bijan has scored in full PPR 16.1, 16.2, 13.2, and 11.4 PPR fantasy points. So Drake London and Darnell Mooney, Dave, do you want to start these guys this week?
London as a number 2 receiver, certainly in PPR. Mooney is a bye week replacement / low end flex.
And I'm a little bit more optimistic about Darnell Mooney. Like Dave said, he doesn't need quite as many targets as Drake London because he sometimes has big plays. So I would view Mooney as a number 3 wide receiver. London as a number 2. I agree with.
Yeah, looking at the Bucs, they have faced Jaden Daniels in week 1. Daniels really didn't throw the ball well that game. Detroit, they faced Denver, and they faced the Colts. The Eagles. Yes. I put Paris Campbell on the Colts.
The Eagles without AJ and Davante.
They've allowed the 6th fewest completions of 20 or more yards and the 5th fewest completions of 20 or more air yards, which hold my flavored water. The Falcons are the best in the NFL right now in terms of not giving up big plays. That's something to keep an eye on here. They've allowed the fewest completions, the Falcons, of 20 plus yards, and the same amount of completions of 20 plus air yards. But that's one thing the Falcons have done well. They're not getting to the quarterback, but they are not giving up big plays. So that actually might help Cade Otton, by the way, or it's just 4 games and it's just noise. But Drake London or Brandon Aiyuk this week, and Aiyuk has Arizona.
I have London over Aiyuk.
Oh yeah, I think I have London and Mooney over Aiyuk possibly.
Oh wow, okay. So people are going to start London. So then let me lead to some Darnell Mooney here. Darnell Mooney or Terry McLaurin against Cleveland?
Terry.
Mooney.
Darnell Mooney or Bengals running backs against Baltimore?
Now you got to make me check.
Moss, Mooney, Brown.
I actually have Mooney over both Moss and Brown.
Wow. Darnell Mooney or Tyreek Hill against the Patriots?
Tyreek.
I laugh every time.
It's Tyreek, but gross.
Who am I starting over Kyle Pitts other than Cade Otton?
And Pat Freiermuth?
Keep going. Who else?
Tucker Kraft.
Tyler
Parkinson.
Hunter Henry?
No.
Flip a coin.
There is one thing to like about Kyle Pitts and his matchup this week. There's an injury at linebacker for Tampa where Servase Dennis is out. And so KJ Britt's going to play. He's a liability in coverage. This is a big if the Falcons can get Pitts lined up on KJ Britt, that should be a win for Pitts. But that's it. Like, that's the only thing that I can think of that's in Kyle Pitts' favor.
Okay, that is it for Thursday Night Football.
No.
Yeah. Let's redraft. I have too many segments today. Too many segments. Let's redraft round 1. Full PPR. Who wants the first pick?
I do.
Go ahead.
Good.
Christian McCaffrey.
Get out of here.
Okay. No, I would take Saquon first.
Who wants the second pick?
I do.
Dave, you want it? I'll take it. I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I think I don't even know if he's wide receiver 1 for a lot of people, but I still think he's CeeDee Lamb. They got no run game. They're going to throw a ton. He's going to be the guy that benefits. So Barkley 1, Lamb 2. Heath, you're up.
I'll take Nico.
Nico Collins 3, and Heath will snake it.
Oh, I don't want to do that at all. I didn't want to make the third pick. I'll take Justin Jefferson.
That's who I would have taken.
Okay, that means I'm up. All right, here's
No,
another.
it's not. I haven't picked yet. Oh no, we're reversing.
Yeah, we're snaking.
Sorry.
I hate this pick. Breece Hall. Am I crazy?
No. I think he's going to be. He's coming off of a terrible game.
I'm really surprised you didn't take Malik Neighbors.
I barely have him in the first round. I have him 12th.
He is a first-round pick, though.
Barkley, Lamb, Nico, Jefferson, Breece Hall. That's our top 5. Dave, 6 and 7.
I'll take Jamar Chase at 6, and I'll take Neighbors at 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that means I'm up, right?
Yes, sir.
This is an easy one for me then. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Still having a great year. Target share is through the roof. I had him ahead of Chase and Neighbors. Heath, you're up for 2 picks. Got to get now the running back. Now the old running backs come into play.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I don't.
Have fun, Heath. You've got 2 of these.
My next 4 players are running backs. I don't know.
Same. Same. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. That's not true. 3 of them are running backs.
Kyron Williams.
Good.
Okay, and
I wish I knew about Jonathan Taylor's ankle. Man, there's not anybody I want to take. Bijan.
Cook? What about James Cook?
Bijan
Robinson. Okay, I'll take Kamara. And Dave, I think you have the last pick.
Derrick Henry.
So no James Cook, and yeah, in there. So Barkley, Lamb, Nico, Jefferson, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry.
And 11 of those 12 names are the top 12 values in the trade chart. So this was very confirming for me. Thank you.
Well, you did make almost half the picks.
I made a third of the picks. But you were in there. You took the one guy that isn't top 12 on the trade chart. You took Bijan.
Yeah.
And I still think A.J. Brown carries a lot of really good value.
Well, I thought about Kelsey because tight end is so bad. He's not good enough, but tight end is so bad that if you actually got a tight end that could get you 15 points per game, that could be an enormous advantage over the player starting Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, Cade Otton.
Yeah, we're right back to 2021.
I know, but it's weird. It's like it's for a different reason. But maybe McBride's your tight end 1 or whoever it is.
Yeah, McBride would still be my tight end 1.
He's my tight end 1 right now as well.
I think there's a case for him to be a first-round pick, or at least like if we extended it to the top 18, I think I would have to take McBride or Kelsey there because it's just the advantage is too much.
I would not. I don't see it that way. I think there are too many other good players at other positions.
You may have just told us that Travis Kelce is a great sell high.
And I wonder if A.J. Brown is a good buy low.
I don't want to
know what he's capable of.
Oh, A.J. Brown. Yeah, I don't want to part with Travis Kelce without Rashee Rice. Like that's if you think they're going to trade for a big name receiver, maybe. But how does Travis Kelce not have a really good year now? Just because he's too old? You think he's just washed up?
I'm not saying he's completely washed up, but I don't think that they're going to go like they're already 4-0. I don't think they're going to go 4 months force feeding 35-year-old Travis Kelce when they've got 5 months left to play.
I still think he gets 8. You think he gets 8 targets a game?
It's possible.
I think he does. I don't know if they've got a choice, Heath.
Tight end 1. If to me, like I would feel comfortable. I would never ever consider sitting him, and he'd be a very valuable player if he got 8 targets a game. But if this is really more a reflection of how horrible the tight end position has been.
Yeah, but if you like Trey McBride and you think he's the top tight end, or if you like George Kittle and you think he's the top tight end, well, now we've got a case for 3 guys.
And Ferguson's up there, but
Ferguson's up there.
Really hasn't been very good.
No, I mean, shoot, Laporta's gotten off to a rough start, and Kincaid has. I mean, we could go through all the names. Mark Andrews, holy moly! Like, yeah, look, you guys already know.
Too high to call first round, but go ahead.
It's not just like the volume has cleared up now. It's that like we were talking about this, and it's only been a month, so it may not continue. But we were talking about this before the season. In 2023, Kelsey's yards per reception and yards per target were both career lows. In 2024, his yards per reception and yards per target are both worse than they were in 2023.
All right.
In this fictional draft, who would you take first? Who would you take first? Drake London or a tight end?
McBride.
Adam?
Yeah, Kelsey or McBride.
Okay. McBride's the only tight end I have above London in the trade chart.
All right, Fantasy Jeopardy. We got 3 categories, $200, $400, and $600 for each of them. The categories are quarterbacks, pass catchers, and famous movie quotes. All right, Heath, the Royals won yesterday, so you have the board. Quarterbacks, pass catchers, or famous movie quotes?
Famous movie quotes for as much as possible. Let's get that out of the way.
For $600 dues. All right. You call me young lady again, I'll shove my foot up somewhere it's not supposed to be. You're not allowed to look at the comments, by the way.
Okay.
You call me young lady again, I'll shove my foot up somewhere it's not supposed to be.
Are we
Titanic.
supposed to name who said it or what movie it's from?
The movie.
Titanic.
First of all, you have to answer the formula question. I put that one in there for you, by the way, Heath, because I knew you'd struggle with this category.
I'm not a movie quotes
Dave,
guy.
I don't know what movie it's from. I will guess what is A League of Their Own.
What is Captain Marvel? I figured Heath would know the Marvel ones. All right, Heath, the board is
so you're making this so that Heath wins. I see.
Movie quotes for 400.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
That could be from like a dozen movies.
I should definitely know that one. I don't remember. It seems like it's from a mob movie.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
But I don't remember which one. Heath, what is Goodfellas?
I'm not even going to dignify this with a guess.
I think I want to give Heath like $5 for that because it is The Godfather Part 2.
Okay, yeah, basically I got it right. Movie quotes for 200.
I'll have what she's having.
Dave.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing that
You're so excited.
because I know what movie it's from.
Good job.
But it's embarrassing that I know what movie it's from. What is When Harry Met Sally?
That is correct. All right, Dave has $200 and control of the board. Quarterbacks and pass catch.
No Godfather quote. But Harry Met Sally.
Harry Met Sally is a classic, and that's one of the most famous movie. That was an easy one, actually. All right, go ahead, Dave.
As long as we don't have to reenact that scene, we're good. I'll take quarterbacks for 200.
He leads the NFL in passing yards.
Heath.
Yeah.
Who is Geno Smith?
Hey, Heath is on the board. And that's another thing that's interesting about the Seahawks. He's got 4 touchdown passes, and he leads the league in passing yards. Yeah. You know, that's got to change. They've
had a game where they ran like 76 plays, and they've had an overtime game. So we might want to chill out just a little bit on the volume stats for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Also, and I brought this up and it was shot down by Dave and Jamie, Heath. But I said, maybe think about selling high on JSN because he's only been good when Geno's thrown 44 and 52 passes. Not getting enough of a target share. Tyler Lockett's still a factor. He's not doing anything after the catch. He's in the slot almost 80% of the time.
Sell him for Brandon Aiyuk.
For Brandon Aiyuk? Okay.
Yeah, if you can do that, that would be outstanding. I don't know if you can.
All right, Dave or Heath, board is yours. We're tied at 200.
Quarterbacks for 400.
This second-year quarterback is 3rd in yards per attempt behind Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold.
Heath.
Who
is Anthony Richardson?
Correct. Isn't that a funny stat?
Wow.
Anthony Richardson is 3rd in yards per attempt.
He got 700 yards on 2 passes. That really helps. Quarterbacks for 600.
This quarterback has the lowest intended air yards per pass attempt in the NFL. Heath.
Who is Patrick Mahomes?
Second lowest.
Who's lower than that? Oh, I have some guesses. I'll take Jaden. Who is Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels is the 4th. I don't think I was wrong because they're tied. They're tied, but on true
When
media,
you sort on Pro Football Reference by intended air yards per pass attempt, Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes are tied, but Mahomes is below Mayfield, which means if they went another decimal point, Mahomes would actually have a lower intended air yard.
How interesting that you have that screen open
I
in
just
front of you
pulled
right
it.
now.
I just
Oh,
pulled
you
it
just
up
pulled it.
because I
Oh,
knew the
see.
answer.
All right.
And
I mean, were you furiously typing friends
Yes.
close, enemies closer?
trust me, Adam
earlier
can go
on?
back and tell you on the recording when I was, because he hears every time I type.
on true media, Baker Mayfield is lower than Mahomes. 5.5 for Mayfield, 5.6 for
So
Mahomes.
give me an extra dollar, and I'll go running backs for 200.
What do I do? Do I give Heath the 600 there?
I'm gonna run out of time here.
All right, pass catchers for 200. He has 9 more targets than any other wide receiver.
Heath,
Heath.
who is Malik Neighbors?
Heath is on fire.
That's
pass
I was
catchers
so
for
close. That's who I was going to guess.
400. He is the only tight end with multiple touchdown catches.
Ooh, catches was a key word there.
Yeah.
No idea.
If you're allowed to play,
Heath, who is George Kittle?
Heath is just killing it. And pass catchers for $600 dues among 53 wide receivers with 20 or more targets. This AFC North wide receiver ranks 6th in targets, but last in yards per target.
Heath.
Who
is Amari Cooper?
Dude,
you can see his eyes going back and forth and his shoulders moving as he's and now he leaves so he doesn't have to answer the question. Listen,
right.
I'm not going to sit here and act like I know every single data metric. Like, we've got a tool that brings up 4. So when I need to get it, I can get it. But I don't know these things off the top of my head. So kudos to Heath for winning. But I'm kind of wondering what's going on his side
that
of
was
the
amazing. That
camera.
was really impressive. I mean, he doesn't know any movie quotes. And I was like, I got to put a Marvel movie in there because Heath loves Marvel movies. But that didn't work out either.
He's getting them all so fast. He really knew all the qualifiers for your pass catchers for $600 question.
Well, 6th in targets, but lowest in yards per target and AFC North. I think that's the kind of thing I actually would sort of expect him to know. Fantasy Cops time. Got an email, got a question, send it to fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. And if it's a Fantasy Cops question, make sure you put Fantasy Cops in the subject line. Fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. This one comes from Nick in Winnipeg. My league seriously needs the cops for this one. The league manager has an absolutely stacked team, but he has Mark Andrews, and he fell to 0-4.
Ooh.
On Tuesday morning, he traded Malik Neighbors for Jake Ferguson. The trade is
okay.
trade is with his brother-in-law. The commissioner investigates, and both teams tell him that it's not collusion, and they think it's a good deal. The commissioner approves the deal and tells the rest of the league time will tell. But every other team in the league is livid at this Malik Neighbors for Jake Ferguson trade. How should we proceed as a league?
I think in the instance of when the rest of the league is livid, it's a commissioner's duty to reconsider the entire trade. And I'm sure that it's not collusion. There's no way the brother-in-law said to him, well, first of all, the brother-in-law is gladly going to accept Malik Neighbors for Jake Ferguson, right? Because it's the guy who's 0-4 that's getting Ferguson.
You're going to hate my take on this trade. I'm just going to tell you right now.
No, it definitely is an unfair trade. There's no two ways around it. But if two consenting managers agree to a deal and it's not collusion, the only thing I can think of is that with the rest of the league being livid, you call them back and say, you've got to throw somebody in with Ferguson to get Malik Neighbors. The deal can still happen. You need to add to your side of the deal.
I think I'd much rather have Neighbors. I'm not going to even pretend that I would. But
right.
I am fine with this trade. In the last 2 games, because I'm not counting week 1, Jake Ferguson left with an injury. In the last 2 games, Jake Ferguson is averaging 13.7 PPR fantasy points per game. That would make him tight end 2. Mark Andrews for the season is averaging 3.1 PPR points per game. Right now, you have added 10 points per game to your tight end spot. If you're loaded and you have receiver depth, you are absolutely overpaying, but it could make sense for this team if Jake Ferguson continues to be one of the 3 or 4 best tight ends in fantasy. I think it worked out really well for the guy who got Neighbors, but I also think it's going to work out well for the guy who upgraded from Andrews to Ferguson. That could be a bigger upgrade for him, tight end to tight end, than whoever he's putting in the lineup to replace Neighbors is if he's loaded at receiver. So I think the trade is what it is. It is not vetoable. It could actually work out for both teams, and I let it stand.
Wow.
Decent argument? I think it's a decent argument. I believe it to the core. I think it's fine.
So if I were one of the irate managers in that league, and I wouldn't think about quitting the league. I wouldn't think about replacing you as commissioner, but I would be really peeved for a long time that you just let the trade as is stand.
I understand that reaction, but it's not collusion to me, and it stays. Like, it could be a bad trade, but I think it could work for both teams. But all right, we're pretty much done here. Let's do a quick round of grade the trade. Richard wants to know, in a dynasty league, would you trade Caleb Williams and T. Higgins, dynasty, Caleb and Higgins, for Trevor Lawrence and A.J. Brown, PPR?
I'd rather have the Lawrence Brown side, but it seems like an even deal. The team that's getting A.J. Brown theoretically is trying to win now. The team that's giving him away going to win later with Caleb and T.
Okay, from Landon, I just traded Rashad White, Jamison Williams, and Jerome Ford. Rashad White, Jamison Williams, and Jerome Ford for Devin Singletary and George Pickens. Have I done well, or should I be ashamed to come into work tomorrow?
I think it's pretty close to even.
Okay.
I mean, Pickens is the best player in that deal, so maybe
Mike,
that side wins a little bit more.
Mike from a city west of Sacramento.
West of Sacramento. Osaka, Japan.
A league mate offered me Davante Adams for Chuba Hubbard straight up. I'm 2-2. It's full PPR.
You're taking Davante Adams.
And from Phil, give James Cook, Jordan Love, and Travis Etienne. Ooh. James Cook, Etienne, and Love.
Uh-huh.
Get Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, and JSN.
I don't think it's enough.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it's enough. And I almost went, Phil?
Yeah, that's good.
Why couldn't that be one of the movie quotes?
From Alan. Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm sorry for accusing Heath of cheating on Fantasy Jeopardy. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would cheat.
Alan is currently in second place at 5-3.
I feel bad about that.
Two matchups per week, you know. And I've been matchup in top half of the league. I've been offered Garrett Wilson for Tyreek Hill straight up. I have Jalen Waddle. I want to get away from the pairing. Would you trade Tyreek for Garrett Wilson?
I wouldn't. I get that you want to get away from the pairing. It's killing your team right now. Garrett Wilson's schedule the next few weeks is not very good.
Oh, Sia's here. And yes, of course, it was a Groundhog Day reference from Dave. So,
and from Adam.
Yeah, it was for me. I didn't want to take credit for that, but Dave obviously stole it from me. He was never going to say Phil if I didn't say Phil. You know, Bill. Team Name Tuesday from Alan. He has Bo Nix and Jerome Ford. He has the Nix and Ford era.
Okay, clever.
We love to dip into politics here. All right, we're out of time, and we'll talk to you at noon Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Otherwise, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Oh, programming, 7 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. show on Thursday. Starter sit for AFC home games, bright and early. See you later.